Good evening and welcome to tonight's edition of What's Your Story? My name is Catherine Mwangi. Thank you for joining us here from Nairobi Street Kitchen in Westlands. We want to continue from what we started last week, which is a conversation on femicide, and still with the same guest we had. That is the Executive Director of Global Peace Foundation, Mr. Daniel Juma Omondi. You're most welcome. We also have Honorable Gloria Oroba. She is a nominated senator. Most welcome, ma'am. And we have Danish Odongo. He of the Wellness Tribe, founder, president. Thank you so much for joining us. I think I want to take it to the audience before we come this way so that we just kind of balance. Abel, we start with you and your question. The microphone to Abel.
Okay, thank you very much.
Your name and who your question is addressed to.
I'm Abel, and I have a question for Honorable
Gloria.
Gloria. So you said that wanawake wametekelezwa kwa jamii. Hatuishi kama community. Like kama vile wamesema huko ushago, utapata if anyone atengea kwa kijiji, utajua mtu ni mgeni. Like vile Honorable hapa alisema, hapo ukienda kuuliza mtu mbona unapiga mtu kuuliza ni mtoto wako. Like nowadays we don't live like a community. Whereby community tunafaa tuishi na umoja, tuishi kama family.
I give you a very basic example kama saizi. Personally, I have an ongoing, my family has an ongoing case Kisii. Pali ambapo, because we are 4 daughters, when my father who raised us died, watu kwa kijiji wakaona sasa hapa ni vile ambapo tunaenda kutafuta kuchukua hiyo shamba ya huyo mzee, because according to them wasichana hawafai kuridhi shamba. So hata wamecraft story nyingi, wakaleta familia, bibi mfake, nini. Community yenyewe inajua hizo ni story. Community yenyewe inajua kitu inafanyika. Wamama wanataka kusimama waseme wachaneni na hao wasichana, lakini wamekaliwa na wanaume. So you find a situation like personally, that personal story I've given, because we are 4 daughters, we are in and out of court unnecessarily, because the community, the men have decided that those people don't deserve that piece of land. Lakini if we are raising our children, understanding that girls and boys have equal rights. Wewe saizi ukiza wasichana 3 na uzae kijana mmoja, uwezi kusema mali yako yote itaenda kwa kijana mmoja. Na hata ukikufa, community ichukue mali ipatie kwa huyo kijana, it is the community ndio itakuwa iseme hapana, but there are girls here. But the community can only respond to that when hata how they are sensitized that girls are of the same value as boys. So as much as kuna hizi issue zote zingine, root cause ni tuangalie tunatritaje wasichana, tunatritaje wamama.
What's the place of culture in addressing, if at all, what we're talking about today?
Yeah, culture is crucial, and I come from the Luo culture, and I believe that there are some cultures that are good, especially those cultures that are pro-family, the cultures that are protecting the extended family model. Those cultures are good. But there are certain cultures should be retired. We need to retire some cultures. Like you rightfully said, hiyo maneno ya kutoa meno, is no longer there. For example, where I come from, personally I come from a polygamous family. But right now, I can tell you for free that, I can't marry more than one wife. I can't marry more than one wife. It's even if I wanted to.
You'll be in trouble.
Yes, and again, the economics doesn't allow me. So there's some culture dynamics. So as the world becomes a global village, we are looking forward to, also joining the universal culture, and that's why, Kenyans have no choice but to respect women. We have no choice but to respect women. And if you have a wife in the house, and even if you have your girlfriend, hiyo maneno kupiga demu wako atijua ameonekana na chali mwingine, kama Come on. I mean, if she doesn't want to be with you, let her go. And that's why there's divorce, right? But you cannot beat a woman. And I think you tied it. You spoke about femicide, but for me, I think there are laws that have been established against GBV. So GBV is a big issue. Like those things we are talking about, the violence, emotional violence, that is actually GBV. But femicide is kind of a new terminology here in Kenya. It's very rampant in South Africa. South Africa, it has the highest case of femicide. But in Kenya, I really hope that we will not now make it a new term, mpaka tutengeneze laws for femicide. It should not be there. This is a crime. It's a crime that should be, we need to ensure that, we do not normalize it. We don't normalize. It's a crime. Kuua mtu, whether it's a man or a woman, is wrong. And for me, where I come from, and that's why culture is, again, very, very important. We Luos are superstitious. And we believe that if I kill someone, usiku atakuja kunihaunt.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's why Wajaluo, and that is a deterrent. Kuua mtu. It's a big deal. Because, when you die, and they'll always come to haunt you. And they'll also haunt your generation. And that's why killing someone is a big deal. And that part of culture, that part of superstition, where you fear killing someone because utaki akuja na kuhaunt, wewe umelala lakini ndio huyu it's really, I think those are things that those are some aspects of culture that are good, that are deterrent. And if we can embrace those deterrents, then I think we can be able to make a better world, using our culture to make a better world.
Okay.
Yes.
Danish?
So today I'll be the fact checker. So I'm a journalist, so I like facts. Why we need to talk about femicide is because it's not a new thing. It's been happening. Back to culture. I like how Africans like to only go back to our culture when it favors us. Oh, let's go back to our culture, our traditions. But we forget that we were the people who sold our women for 5 goats at the age of 12 or 9. Culture still. There are good cultures we need to retain.
Yes.
Excellent. There are cultures that are neither good nor bad, but we need to reform them. Then there are those cultures we need to reject, and reject them entirely. One of them is this culture that makes men to be entitled towards women's bodies.
Of course.
That we need to deal with. And for example, women will tell you that they're catcalled in the street. So a woman passes, and then when a woman says no, what do we always say? Unaringa nata we si mrembo. So why do you have to, why do you have to feel, it's the violence. Why are you so entitled that when a woman says no to you, instead uongeze mistari, unakasirika.
Yeah.
But I want to insist that the reason why we need to profile femicide and prosecute it separately, let me give you a successful example that we have done. When female genital mutilation, we passed a law and we even created a commission that deals with it. They just said that this is a criminal problem because it's criminalized by law, but it's also a cultural problem. But also this thing is a public health problem. And this thing is, there are many multi-layers. So how you deal with it, you don't go with one way to deal with it. So we need laws that says, oh, by the way, there are criminals in this people. So Juma said that in their culture, they don't kill and they fear blood. There are cultures that do not mind that. And now that we are 54 nations in one republic, we can't rely on the philanthropy of cultures like his to guard the whole of 54 million of us. There are criminals amongst us who need to be put away.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what we say. We can teach our girls everything, but at the end of the day, there are criminals who need to be put away.
Those are really good points, Danish. Thank you. Chantal, you ready? Okay.
Okay. So I'm loving the conversation, and my question goes to Danish. I did a post on social media, and then it was about championing for End Femicide, KE. Then one of my friends responded by saying that they think that femicide is also associated with the spiritual aspect. For example, issues related with doing sacrifices. So I would just like an highlight on that, because I realized that people within the community also hold that belief that maybe if a femicide case occurred, it was something connected to the spiritual side. So I would like to hear your perspective on that.
Okay.
You see, I really, so if we define femicide, we can look at the motivations. When we understand the motivations, we can prevent it. But not all femicide are done because of ritualistic killings.
Let me pick on that. He actually said, perhaps you don't even know what love is.
You know, you have different love languages. There's a community where the love language is money. You've heard, we tell our girls, 12-year-olds, ng'ombe sita zimeletwa, amepeanwa.
Yeah.
You know, that is the love language. There are communities where violence is the love language. But I can speak from my lived experiences.
Right.
And I can tell you, the love language is violence. Meaning, there was even a notion at one point, there was some sort of promotion of violence in the sense of, bwana yako akupigi, huyo akupendi.
Oh my Lord.
Akupendi.
Are you serious?
Yes. And you know, we were laughing about how nilichapwa jana lakini unajua ndio mapenzi. So what happens is that psychologically you're saying, for you to love me you must beat me, I must feel pain. I must incur some level of near-death experience.
My God.
Is when I know that we are bound together. And I like what you said. Culture is used when people are looking for excuse for their bad behaviors. So unajua kimila yetu. Kimila, and really they're looking for a scapegoat for their bad behaviors, because other than ini kimila yetu, ini culture yetu, then they know it is criminal and it is not acceptable in that society. But you know, the moment you say in our culture, then guys take a step back, because who are you to question culture?
Exactly.
Are you the owner of that culture? So you'll find that when there's conflict, wanasema tuitie wazee. Ita wazee.
Yeah.
Not that tunadharau wazee, tudharau wazee, but itakuwa ita wazee. Then unajua a fear comes in. Wazee wanaitwa. Na wazee wakisema wewe rudi kwa boma yako, hata kama bwana yako amekuchapa, you will pack your things and go to your boma because wazee wamesema. Now, our wazee in most times si wa mama.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
hakuna wa mama wazee wanaitwangwa.
Yeah.
When have you ever heard of council of elders and then you see old women coming? When? What are you talking to your boys about in terms of rejection? I have a 16-year-old son. I tell him, these streets ni ngumu.
Yeah.
Kubali rejection.
Yeah.
You will like that girl will not like you. And she will tell you, I don't like you.
Yeah, straight up.
But if I'm not teaching him to accept to being rejected, then I'm also teaching him, without knowing, to put violence on the people rejecting him.
Yeah.
Because there has to be a way. Now, forget teaching girls. Girls can be taught, they have been taught. There are even books about girls taking care, pepper spray, being safe. Tuko na manual yote, the whole play, everything. Tuko nayo. Kitu hata tumekosa ni pesa ya kununua hiyo pepper spray. Lakini, boys wako na nini? Where are we teaching the boys? Anything. Yeah. You know, start with your son.
I want to hear from Daniel first. Okay. I want to hear, because you see, Daniel talked about the things we are teaching our sons and daughters, and even give examples.
Yeah.
But a lot has been said, so yes.
Yeah. So it's very, very important. And I give example. My own family, I have 2 kids, my daughter and my son, and I teach them, respect each other. They fight. Sometimes it is my daughter who is, Sagina na chokozana, and so this happens, and I'm happy that in this generation, at least starting with my family, hiyo maneno ya kijana, punishing the sister, I don't want to see it. I don't condone it in my house. But I know that our society has been very permissive about violence, even from our political culture. And she's a politician, she will tell you. But coming back to relationships, I think relationships are personal, and that's why, again, I want to say that I know femicide is a serious issue, but let us not allow femicide, to be the norm in Kenya. Let's teach our boys and girls to love, to believe in family, and to grow as responsible citizens. And this is something that everybody has a responsibility. If I have my family, I need to teach my son, with understanding that saa zingine unaweza wachwa, na ukiachwa achika, si ndio? Kwanza achika. Don't go and kill her because she dumped you, or don't go and commit suicide. Suicide is another issue.
Yeah.
People are,
killing themselves.
Yeah, killing themselves because of love.
women also love bad boys.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know all of you might be shocked to the twist, but the reason why they love bad boys is because many of them have been socialized around, were raised by bad boys.
No.
Let me speak from lived experience. One, women don't like bad boys or love bad boys. Women want to feel protected all the time. So what you think that they love bad boys is them feeling safe. Because women and girls are raised in a situation where danger can occur anytime. So you ask yourself, kwa sababu naweza vamiwa anytime, I can be raped anytime, mimi sitaki kukaa na mtu mwenye hata ni defend. So you are conditioned to start thinking, when I'm looking for a spouse, a partner, a boyfriend, they must be able to defend me.
The people committing these criminal acts are people we are in love with. It's people we know. We are intimate with.
That's what I'm saying, yes.
Married to.
But they're relative. They're relative. Not everyone is like that.
Not everyone, yes.
The other bit of protect yourself is, I always encourage women to learn self-defense. Go and learn some karate. You know, some congestina.
Let me tell you.
That's the problem.
Let me tell you.
That's the problem, Dan. Because why are you not encouraging men to tone down? Why are you not encouraging boys to stop being violent?
Aya, tutoke kwa hii
If
panel,
the boys are not violent,
nataka
then
kuja
women are
huko.
not carrying papers.
Sawa, Senator Danish Daniel. Hebu tuzime mics zao magesi. So, kwanza tukuje kwa Roy. Roy, si ulikuwa ni wewe? Sawa, uliza.
Hello, my name is Hans Roy Ochieng. Yeah, I'm actually from Ugenya.
Hey.
Yeah. I'm married with one daughter. I've been in a position where we fought with my wife and I slapped her for the first time. And then I felt like, I know she slapped me back. Then some anger just rushed in me and I felt like I should continue. So now I usually like talking, conversing with her and what. That time I forgot about the conversation.
Yeah.
I just, how can she slap me? That was what crossed in my mind. Then I slapped her again. She then again slapped me. So now, before this thing went further, I just stood by. She was holding my shirt like this. Eh? Why are you hitting me? So I'm like, where have I reached? Am I crossing a line here? Because now I'm just seeing darkness. All I'm thinking of just continue
To beat her.
So I relaxed, cooled down. And then inquire, how did we get here? It all came down to an economic problem. I had no one to turn to. I've asked my friend for money, nobody is giving me money. I've looked for work, no work. I've tried this, no this. But in the house, things are being me. So now, there's something that respect, it left my wife. So now she started there.
Fighting you back.
So now you see that I lost some value of that. So I wanted to defend myself. Even though I don't have money, I still have
value.
I still have value. And I still have my conscience.
Yeah.
So I was just wondering, what if I never stood by and just observed myself? Why am I beating her?
Right.
Where is the problem coming from? My problem is actually money. If I had money, we couldn't be here. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing your story. Is it coming to a question? Yeah. Or you are sharing your story?
So now my question is,
okay.
You say we are losing over 60 billion, 64 billion in just mitigating. So how can we use this 64 billion to address the challenges I face as a man, the financial challenges, so that now the 64 billion doesn't come after I've shoved my wife's hand, or I've killed her, or I've done what? And taking me to prison, is that the solution? Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. You will come to that. Behind you, you have a mic? All right.
My question, it will go directly to Daniel.
To Daniel, okay.
Yes. You said something on the lines of we, as ladies, we should get to a point where we get into a relationship where we know the person. We know the men that we are going out with, the men that we are interacting with. If it is an intimate relationship, we should get to know the person. But then again, the men make it difficult for us to know them. You ask a man a simple question, you want to know his friends, not necessarily, you just want to know more about him, but he does not even put an effort into telling you. Like perhaps I'll ask, do you have any friends I've never seen you with anyone, and you'll dismiss that like, no, I have friends, don't worry about that. Do you have any siblings? And this is someone perhaps I am in a relationship with. It is my future boyfriend I want to interact with. So I guess men are lacking a point of vulnerability. That's why it leads them to them attacking the women. Wanashindwa wataenda wapi, wataongelesha kina nani. And when you give them a safe space to talk about themselves, they don't really want to open up about themselves.
Okay.
Yes.
Thanks for that. Daniel, you've marked your question. Grace, swali yako ya mwisho, keep it short. Wangari, yes?
My question and a comment is, first of all, why do we need protection? Who are we protected from? Are you getting my point? Because it's men protecting us. Who are the men protecting us from? It's from the same men. Sindio? So the only thing is that, as parents, as we raise our children, ile tunaambiangwa mwanaume hafai kuwa nini, ati hafai, maybe hafai kulia ama what not. So maybe they bottle the anger and what not, and maybe they cannot talk and maybe solve issues. So on to my last point, maybe to Danish, anaweza tuambia, as I know he's from the wellness tribe, so what should be done, the safe space wanasema wanapea the men, what goes on there yenye inaweza fanya the men maybe to tone down, kama vile she said, kwa nini tujifundishe karate? Kwa nini wanaume wenyewe wasijifundishe ku cool down? If you feel like I've offended you, just walk out and go. We don't care about the ego, whatever. Just tone down and all will be well.
Thank you so much. So we are taking a very quick short commercial break. We come back and get the feedback or the responses to the various questions asked to this panel tonight.
Why can't we have a subject on family so that these people are taught about the basics about family? Or if you don't have money, maybe don't even come home, just go and, go and hang out with your friends so that it cools down. You get my point?
There's so many broken men out there, and then the responsibility is being given to us women to teach them. Why? Mbona mimi nimfundishe? Mimi si mama yake.
If we don't unlearn these things and treat boys as human beings, not as commodities or
From the break, it's What's Your Story? I'm Catherine Mwangi. We're here with a distinguished panel just to help us wrap our minds around what's been going on in this country, which is femicide. We have to my right, my near right, we have Daniel Juma Omondi. He is the Executive Director of the Global Peace Foundation Kenya chapter. We have Honorable Gloria Oroba. She is a nominated senator as well as a very strong advocate for women's rights, okay? Then we have Danish Odongo. He is the founder president of the Wellness Tribe. And of course, here from the Nairobi Street Kitchen, we have a really incredible audience that's been asking all of these questions. Zikopi makofi. Great. So before the break, we gave the opportunity to a couple of our members of the audience to ask questions, which is what we want to answer. So tutaanza hivi. Questions were asked. So tuanze na Danish hivi. You remember the questions before the break? Great. So let's go.
The moment we can create jobs, like he said, a huge chunk of why people fight in marriage is because of money. Rent has not been paid, children have gone to school. A lot of economic issues are exacerbating some of these gender issues that we see. Secondly, we also must change how we treat our men, especially our young men. The safe spaces that we need to create for men are not away from society, because we have this thing of trying to create safe spaces for different people while they all come together to live together. So what we need to do, I want to call people who raise men. I spent 90% of my time with my mother. How many of us know that the majority of time that we spend with our mothers? Many of us here are nurtured by our mothers. So it begins by our women who are raised in patriarchal systems also unlearning some of these patriarchal norms that they pass to their sons through how they raise them. For example, my mother would say that "Wo is zero." You know what that means? A man is the pillar. So this pillar, yeah, my mother is the one who told me that, not my dad. So because of that, or a man should not cry. You know, you start telling your son that when you are raising her, when you're raising him as a mother, or you start passing down these things that there's a way a man ought to behave. So if we don't unlearn these things and treat boys as human beings, not as commodities or as pillars or as providers, but just as human beings, so that men are not defined by what they do, they are defined by their humanity. I think we will talk about this thing, but it will still bite us.
Wow.
Yeah.
So defining men, I like that last sentence, defining men by their humanity, just people being human, going back to what Senator Gloria said before, like you can't legislate good manners. But anyway.
All of us, men or women, we are under law, our constitution. There are laws, there are guidelines. There is a law that defines assault and what it means when you have been found guilty. And in that situation, if the proper processes were followed, both for the man and the woman, you assaulted this person, umeandikishwa kwa police station, ndio hiyo obi imetolewa, you have been taken to court, you have been listened, there is a witness or there is some evidence, you have been charged and very swiftly, and you have been taken to where you need to be for whether it is the maximum of 7 years or 5 years. I can tell you, you will never slap anyone again. So the question was, does that solve the problem? It does, in many ways. As a matter of fact, if our judicial system was quick at expediting these cases, if the turnaround time of a person who was assaulted on Monday is that by Friday, they have been convicted, charged, convicted, and put away, my friend, nobody is going around slapping people out here. Because then what is happening is that, you know, your actions are actually going to affect you one way or another. There are going to be consequences of your actions. Even as a society, it's okay for the violent people, for the aggressors to be men. But I can tell you today, myself nominated Senator Gloria Roba. You know, the other day in Parliament when I had the accident with my periods.
Yes.
There are people till today, they have not forgiven me for having an accident. They meet me and they're like, shame on you, right?
Yes,
right?
yes, yes.
Yeah.
Now,
including women.
Including women. Because society is, the way they look at women and girls is like, this thing, and you have to toe the line.
Yeah.
It is a community thing, it is a perception thing, it is the society has decided women are of lesser value. And men should be held on higher standards.
Yeah.
And if we can't change that, there's nothing we're discussing. We can discuss law, we can discuss what.
I think you've brought it home for me when you said the delays with the justice delays is why every week we wake up to something. Because they see nothing has been done. I will do this, nitoroke niende, I cross the border, I'll pay whatever amount and go. But what she said, I think, brings it home to me because you keep wondering, you raised good sons. You speak to your sons, good sons. You speak to your son, don't be entitled. Ukiachwa achika, you know. So we hear these things, whether you read them, whether you watch them, whether you have friends who are, you know, morally upright and they encourage you to be a good human. There's one or two things that, you know, is in your environment, but then you do this act because you think you can and you can get away with it.
Yes.
Okay, so Daniel, you had many questions.
Yes, I know. I largely agree with that. But I want to take on your question. You said men do not want to listen, right? They don't want to, you ask them about them, they don't want to give information, right? Yeah, so by the time you are sitting down or you're deciding to date this man, there must have been some qualities that you like about him. And if communication is one of those qualities, then, and you care so much about that, then I'm sure you would make that decision that I'm not dating this man because he's not open about himself. Yeah, but nowadays, you can find out, you can Google about him. Go to Instagram, find out what kind of things he likes. His Facebook, yeye ni mtu anapenda kutusi watu. Ama, you know, you can find out, it's up because people will not reveal information about themselves. There are some people with so shady backgrounds, and they will not just come and confess to you, at, oh, me, I killed someone, or me, my body count is 100. You know, I mean, they won't tell you. They won't tell you. So it's up to you. By the time you are deciding to date this person, you know, you have some information, some background information. You know, there are certain things that the men will not just tell you. Maybe kuna wengine anaweza tu ambie priest saa zile ameenda confession. Lakini wewe hata kuambia, you know. But I am sure, and this is one of the reasons why it's a big problem. The dating scene is a big problem, and that's why for me I worry about my children. I sometimes sit down and wonder what kind of people will they date, what kind of people will they marry. So I always feel like this conversation needs to be there in the family, so that you let them know. By the way, this is the kind of person you know you need to have. You know, so you need to coach them. So when they are growing up, you know, by the time they're choosing the people they are dating, they have some kind of empowerment information.
Yeah.
And I also believe that in school, we need to teach, maybe there should be a subject on, not on dating, but maybe call it family. You get my point? Like in campus, you have these common subjects, HIV, for example. Why can't we have a subject on family, so that these people are taught about the basics about family? If you have a wife, this is how you communicate. If she doesn't talk to you, this is how. If she is angry, this is, maybe just walk away. Or if you don't have money, maybe don't even come home. Just go and, you know, go and hang out with your friends, so that it cools down.
Problems.
You get my point? So I think we need to have that. We need to have a subject in school, taught in school, maybe from secondary school, but even in the campus, so that we teach our children, so that the issue of family does not become something you learn by yourself, by accident. We are learning on Instagram, we are learning on YouTube. We are watching, and some of the videos on YouTube are very, very violent, right? You know, very, very bad things you watch on YouTube. But it needs to start. You as a father, teach your son. You know, when you are in a house, when you are with your husband or your boyfriend, you have to let him know, these are the red lines. You don't cross here. If you don't cross here, yeah. So there's sometimes when even boys learn from their wives through relationships. Because sometimes you take your girlfriend or your wife for granted. But once she tells you, this is what I can forgive, this is what I can't forgive, then you learn. Unajinyenyekea. Kunyenyekea saa zingine ni mzuri. It's very, very, and I can tell you, for men, you know, and this is something that, because I know money is a big issue, and sometimes you marry a woman who has more money than you. You know my point? How do you behave in such a marriage? You know, maybe she has a lot of money, more than you. You get my point? So, ukipata yule dem ambaye ako na pesa kukushinda, si unajua unajinyenyekea. Hata kama umesema you brush you know, you even volunteer to brush her shoes. You massage her, you make sure she's happy. You learn, because you know, if I don't do this, another toroka. You get my point? So there's so many things you can learn. So many things you can learn, because when you know what you're missing, what you have. You get my point? Yeah. So I think that answers that. So do not, your daughter, you know, and your son, you must teach them. They must know that there is breaking up. Sometimes you meet the wrong person, but it is not like if you meet the wrong person, you have to stick with it.
Yeah.
Because you have gone through this, you have to let them know that this is life, and there are risks involved.
Okay.
As a parent, you can do your best, provide, give guidance. But the environment with which you allow or your children ends up, because nasema allow. The other day I was having a conversation with teenagers, one of them my niece, and she was part of the conversation about Airbnb. So people were asking me, umempeleka huko kwani anaendanga Airbnb? And I was like, no, but why are you assuming they don't know anything about Airbnb? When she went on set, she said that, you know, us guys, so we use Airbnbs for parties because we don't want to have parties. like at our parents' house, you know, because our parents will be, unanielewa? So where hata ulikuwa unajua, your children, while they're asking for money for ABCD, they're actually going to pay for an Airbnb to have a house party.
Wow.
Because they can't have house parties in your house. So you assume because there are no house parties in your house, that your child is nice. No, your child is in an Airbnb having a house party. So the bottom line is, where did she get that? Her lived experiences is, hao matoto wa mababi hapa nini o. So hao hawana bash kwa ghetto. Wamechukua, wako na hadi pesa ya kununua Airbnb kufanya party. And people ask me, how come you didn't end up doing drugs
on either side? Yeah.
Because bottom line is, now what my father, how alini guide. I was able to go to a party and say, mimi nitachorea tu hapa kwa pombe.
Oh.
Sitaenda kwa drugs.
Yeah.
Because venye nililelewa sisi pombe nilikuwa naona my father used to drink, so it can't be that bad, right? So me, I'll drink the alcohol. But these are the things people are doing here, drugs. Hiyo sijaiona kwetu, so hiyo nimewaachia. You understand? So your child is able to make decisions based on how you raise them. It's the same way people ask, you are 4 girls raised by a single father. So how come nyinyi wote hamkupata maball mkiwa hapo primary school nini? Because you are assuming that my father did not talk to us about periods, about safe sex, about not having sex, but he did.
He did.
So while we were raised from a single parent household, I was still able to have to tell my boyfriend, me hapo hiyo line atuvuki, let's just kiss and hold hands, but hapo misiko. You understand?
Yeah.
It is a decision I could make based on how I was raised. So what we are asking for parents, and it's something Dan said, that teach these men that you said sometimes you can have a boyfriend who unaweza pia kumfundisha. Mbona mimi nimfundishe? Mimi si mama yake. You know, because you know there's so many broken men out there.
Yeah.
And then the responsibility is being given to us women to teach them. Why? We are not therapists. Like now me, I'm not a therapist. Unataka kuja, sawa nifungulie roho, it's okay. But I don't have the instruments, the tools to guide you as a therapist, not to kill yourself. I don't. I'm not a therapist. Unaelewa? I really am not. So unapata, watu wanasema, wacha olewe na huyo msichana, msichana at least anaweza come tone down. Ye ni karao. It can't be. So you know, we have a lot of men, and then the responsibility is being put on women to wafundishe. Why? Wewe fundisha mtoto wako aweze kuongelesha watu nicely, so that asiende kukua burden to their partner. Yeah. Fundisha mtoto wako, this is so that asiende, because now the women wafundishe watoto, wafanye homework, waamke waanze tena kukufundisha wewe. How?
Asante Mhesh. Asante. Final comment as you wrap it up for us.
In this country, I like what Boniface Mwangi says, that you are guilty until proven rich. Until proven rich. Once you're rich, you're shielded from any reality of accountability. So most of these young men are raised by politicians. So the way you hear politicians speak, the way you see them treat people, the way you see them evade accountability, that will trickle down into the home. And I like what they say, that a fish begins to rot from the head. So if huku juu ni kubaya, it trickles down until iko huku chini. So it begins by there. Impunity in this country is what emboldens these people. But finally, men, you are living in a world where people automatically think that you have a problem that needs to be fixed, either through jail or through beating or through all that. Don't prove them right. Don't prove them right. Try, if you can, to, you know, prove them wrong and all the time, and, you know, so that then we can always say, because I always feel like we always say men are the ones of a problem and they need to be fixed. What we need to say is...
Is that your final comment? Because then you look here.
Okay.
Here.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's it. I don't know whether I'm done.
Repeat that one.
I repeat that one.
Prove them right, prove them wrong. Which prove?
We live in a very unfair culture that pathologizes men, which means that masculine traits are often being seen as criminal. So just by being strong, by being, you know, a leader, by being assertive, somebody will say that, okay, those are terrible. So do not prove them right by using the strength, the energy to hurt people, you can actually use it for good.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Senator, your final comments?
Femicide is there. First, we have to accept it is there. Because saying it is homicide, it is what, femicide is there. So now that we know it's there and we've accepted it's there, what are we doing about it? Number one, what is our responsibility as individuals, man or woman? What is your responsibility? Number two, what is the responsibility of government? Government has three arms: legislation, we have the executive, and we have the judiciary. What is the responsibility? The responsibility of those three will also determine whether us as individuals will feel or get motivated enough to go and report a case, for instance, to follow through a whole sitting or hearing or whatever till conviction, or even the mere fact of saying that government has done this much, what can I add to the table as an individual? And finally, our culture plays a very critical role in terms of the actions and the murders that we are seeing. The culture of promoting violent behavior in both men and women. That culture is what we need to talk about and we need to deal with. But also the culture of devaluing the girl child, devaluing the woman, and ensuring that the woman and the girl child have got no place, no respectable place in society. I want to just leave this challenge to the viewers. We always run to the Council of Elders. I ask a question. Why is the Council of Elders only limited to men? When we can answer that question and have a Council of Elders of women, we have solved half the problems in this country.
Thank you so much. This was powerful. And finally, our boyfriend, girlfriend, advocate and ambassador.
All forms of violence against women, all forms of crime are basically, they are unacceptable in our society. Any civilized society would not accept these kind of behaviors. Whether you have an excuse, whether you have a disagreement with your wife at home or with your girlfriend, or whether you don't have money, whether it's economic or what, you are told you have no excuse. You cannot lay your hand on your wife or on your woman. Basically, this is about humanity. You cannot kill something that you cannot create. So unfortunately, we have lost our humanity. So it is up to us to go back and gain our humanity. Gain that fear. When we were growing up, we were taught, in church, that if you do this, you'll burn in hell. You do this, you'll burn in hell. So we need to go back to that fear of God and respect for human lives, and so that we don't normalize these things. And lastly, for the men, I know that money is a big issue, and not just for the men, but also for the women. That lack of money, it really drives us to do crazy things. Lack of money, drives us to fight in our homes, drives us to disagree with our girlfriend or boyfriend. My challenge to you is do not sit and wait for government to come and give you a job or government to come and give you money. This is a personal thing. You must move that extra mile. Move that extra mile and do something about your future. Government will just, set up, the environment conducive for you to innovate, to be an entrepreneur. But don't sit there and have the collective siege and say that sisi serikali hajatupatia kazi, kwa hivyo sasa tunaenda kufanya femicide. No, this is totally hogwash. So we cannot do that. So wherever you have your life, learn from your family, know that you are the master of your destiny, and that whatever you do, if you're fighting, your girlfriend, you are killing your wife, or whatever you're doing, the law will catch up with you. Whether you call it homicide, it will catch up with you, and you will go to committee, and you will spend the rest of your of your life in jail.
Wow.
Thank you.
Wow. I saw like you had a different opinion. You'll just have to get him after the show separately because we will have to say goodbye, Danish. Yes? Okay, but I would like to say thank you to our audience and to our panel and to the Nairobi Street Kitchen for giving us this beautiful space. If you have not been to NSK Westlands, please find your way here. It's beautiful, it's gorgeous, and I hope to do their stories sometime later on this month. But coming back to the conversation on femicide, I like what everybody has said. And I'll just go back to what was said in show 1. Humanity, you cannot legislate good behavior. You be human. And something he also said just now, which is, if you didn't create it, then you have no right to kill it. It's just as simple as that. We've said so many gems. The show goes up on YouTube right after this, in case you missed it, and a repeat this coming Sunday at 2 p.m. Gratified indeed that you have, joined us tonight and also last week, because this is the second part of the show. But I'm just happy that you made the time to watch. So go on YouTube. This is, I think, a long-serving conversation that we can watch. But you glean for yourself. We are not here to say, take this, take this, take this. Watch it, see what you want to carry, and live by. I'm Catherine Mwangi. Until next week, we say good night and God bless.